heart for the ministry. It's good to have his wife here. She spoke to the ladies yesterday, and they have a young man with them, Alex, that they're kind of training for the ministry. So it's good to have you here, brother.
Good to be here.
And 25 till or after. 25. Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right, well, good morning and happy Mother's Day to all you wonderful mothers out there. Oh, do I need, oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, you told me to do that. There we go. Test 1, 2, can you, okay, there you go. So, yeah, we're glad to be here. We had a great night of sleep last night, had fun yesterday, just hanging out with all of you guys, and we really appreciate your faithfulness. We travel a lot. We're in a lot of churches, get to meet and people that we haven't met before, and then people that have just faithfully attended. And this is a day when it's where a lot of people are not hanging in there. They're losing hope, and they're just kind of going away. And so I just want to say thank you for being faithful. Thank you for being faithful to your pastor, to your church, and most of all to the Lord. But thank you for your faithfulness in supporting MAP. Just couldn't wait to get here and just show you guys what you are involved in and what God is doing with the monthly giving that you guys have so faithfully given. Esther did get to share yesterday, and so today I will share. You'll see a little bit of her maybe later in the next service, but we start out with, we have a new website, stepoutoftheboat.org. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the slides, but that is a newer website that we put up earlier this year, and talks a little bit about our boat conference. Here's a recent picture of our family. We have 4 grandchildren now. Jack actually has a birthday today, so Grandma and I wished him a happy birthday this morning, and a little bit later is the next month, Jack is getting baptized. So 2 of our grandchildren have gotten saved, and Jack will be the second one, and Grandpa will get to baptize him, so that's exciting. And talk about the ministry a little bit. We started out in our home church and built this building in 2005-ish, the front part of it. Later we added 1,500 square feet on, and we're ready to add more, which we'll talk about in a minute. We have a board that governs the ministry, meets about 8 to 10 times a year. We have, slowly as we grew, we depended a lot on volunteers over the years, and still do. We probably have around 30 volunteers from different churches in the area that come out and put hundreds, thousands of hours in. But then also the staff. And so most of those are part-time, and some of them are full-time. Holly, if you see Holly right up there next to me on the top row, she's a young single girl that took over her grandma's position as office manager about 2 years ago. Grandma is Tina here, and Tina served with us for almost 22 years. And she ran the office, ran the Sunlight Club, but now Holly has stepped into her shoes and is doing a fine job. Here's a picture of the volunteers. This was a Christmas program that we put on. And then we have the Gerards. And Pastor, did Samuel and Polly Gerard come up here a few years ago?
I think they did.
I was almost thinking that. And I just couldn't remember for sure, but I did see a prayer card out there, and I thought, he must have stopped in. But Samuel and Polly and their family have been with the ministry since 2015, and they travel all over the country. They've been, just in the past couple of weeks, they've been They've done 2 conferences, weekend conferences, one in, what's that, New York, and they did one in Maine. And then just travel everywhere, all over the place, presenting the ministry. And Samuel does a fantastic job. He really has a heart for the Lord. They've had 3 of their children have died from diseases, and but they keep right on going. And then we have Stephanie there. She served as an internship. Miranda has served 2 internships with the ministry. And then we have Alex, who is with us today for the first time, has never heard the presentation before. So Alex is from Florida and has served with the ministry for 1 month. So we've only known each other really for in person for 1 month. But Alex has been doing a really good job, and we're talking on the way out. He has just came up to me on Tuesday and said, I think I'm going to make a commitment to serve for this ministry for 2 years. So that was music to my ears, because I was sensing the same thing. And I know we were only 30 days into the 90, but we really connected. And the area that I see Alex excelling in is a one-on-one evangelism. Really has a heart for evangelism and discipleship, which really resonates with me. And but appreciate Alex. We'll see what God does with that. Want to talk about vision. We recently, and Alex was a part of this, but we had this group of men that came to the MAP office. And this young church had started out about 12 years ago, I guess, by a former Amishman and a former Mennonite, and along the way, they added some more people, and they were from different denominations, came in, and here we are 12 years in, and the church was falling apart. And so they were there to see if we could offer any advice to them. And my first thought was, what's your vision? You have a vision for the church. And they were just kind of like, no, we really don't. We don't have a vision. And I think this happens to all of us. We begin to focus on the problems and the differences, and we lose our vision. And so my encouragement to them was, find a visionary in your church. If it's not you, find somebody. There are people who are just better at casting vision, but visionaries need managers to manage what they come up with. And so in this case, this is our vision. This is, and we, honestly, I tend to have such a large vision that one of my board members told me one day, Joe, just land your plane, land and park for a while. But I like to think ahead, 5, 10 years ahead, always. And about 10 years ago, I felt this real need to have a Bible school. Because what I was seeing then, and it's even more needed today than it was 10 years ago, is that we have all these Amish getting saved. There's a real movement going on in the Amish communities all over America. There are a lot of adults getting saved, whole families leaving the culture. But what happens is they kind of jump out of one ditch into another ditch. A lot of them are drawn to miracles and visions and more of the charismatic type thing. And so as we know, or I watch them from a distance, and what it looks like to me is they're about 1 inch deep and 1 mile wide. There's no roots, and so they kind of blow all over the place, depending on what direction the wind is blowing them, or who's the latest and greatest, and they get caught up in these fads, and this fad dies out, and they try to find another one, and they never become grounded. And so I had this real burden to disciple them in the Word of God, because I believe the Word of God is where we get our roots and where we can go a mile deep, right? And when the winds blow, we know what we believe. I had a guy one time tell me, he said, "Chuck doctrine because it only divides." Yes, it does. We know that. Doctrine does divide. Doctrine has divided churches for ages and ages. But it is still, its doctrine was written by the Holy Spirit. He's the author of it. You can trust it, read it, become grounded in it. And anyways, I was sharing this with a church in Pennsylvania one day, and this is just a little church, and they really felt the burden to come alongside and started sending donations every month toward this Bible school. And this went on for about 8 years, and one day I called the pastor up. I said, "This Bible school is just simply not coming together." And I said, I every time you send a donation, I feel guilty because it's just not coming together. And they kept going for a little bit and then quit. But we ended up with, and I can never remember the exact amount that we have, but it was like a fairly large amount, like $18,000 that they had given for this ministry. But about a year ago, I was talking to a young man, had finished Bible college. He was from the Amish, and I'd known him now for about 6, 7 years. I said, "Jonas, I have this real burden for this ministry." And so he just said, "Hey, Joe, I like that idea. I'm on board." We met a number of times and met with some other people, and we kind of came up with a structure. And in September of last year, we had our first semester ready. And we had, I believe there were 5 students that went into that first semester. We're just now going into the 3rd semester. And Jonas and his wife, Abigail, ended up moving out of Pennsylvania. He's the one that's setting all this up, kind of leading it. And they moved into our basement just a couple weeks ago. So we have them underneath us. He's down there working on this, and then we're kind of trying to help them out financially a little bit, and really excited about where this is going. At some point, I'd love to bring this on location where we can teach it right on location as well. So also, last year, we had somebody gave the ministry $12,000, and I called the pastor up in Millersburg, Ohio. And I said, "Pastor, tell me about this man that left $12,000 when he passed away for the ministry." And he said, "Well, he had a real heart for evangelism." And I said, "I know exactly what we need to do with that. We want to do something special with that. I want to know that this $12,000 gift went towards something that really impacted it in the Amish culture." And so we have this Plowman's Academy that has a number of adult courses, but one of the courses is called the ABCs for Christian Growth. And so we added things up a little bit, figured out we could send out 32,000 lesson A. There's a lesson for every alphabet, but we focused on the very first lesson, and it's like a workbook. So we sent that workbook out to 32,000 Amish families and put a note in there and encouraging them to fill out the workbook, send it back to us, and we would then send them lesson B and C and D and so forth. How many do you think came back? Out of 32,000, 15 responses. I was so disappointed. I still can't believe it. 15 responses. And in my mind, I'm thinking $12,000, all the labor that went into that, all the churches and the volunteers and everything that went into this project. And we prayed. 15 responses. But you walk away from something like that and you say, we believe the Lord provided, we believe the Lord led us there, and you leave it and you go on, right? That's what you do in ministry. The other thing that crossed my mind is, how much is one soul worth? if you took those 15, and let's just say that one of the 15 ends up getting saved, which has happened through this particular course, then is that soul worth $12,000 plus all the labor that went into this? But the other thing that I think about when this kind of thing happens is there's a part that we can play, and there's a part that we cannot play. And the part that we cannot play is work in the human heart. We can give our money, we can put our work into it, and then we have to let it go. We have to wait on God to do the rest. And but anyways, I'm not discouraged, not at all. Disappointed, not discouraged. Number 3. So we are pretty well packed into our little office space there. And we have been discussing with our home church if we could possibly buy that garage that belongs to the church, but is right up against our building. And so we're working through that right now. And we're thinking that it's a little bit taller than our building. And maybe we can put like a second floor in there. And that would really give us some more room to work in. Number 4, train more missionaries. There's a great need for missionaries. You know about New Beginnings. Right now, New Beginnings is packed full of girls. We have one from Pennsylvania. We have one from, I don't know where they all come from.
New York.
Huh? New York?
Yeah.
Oh, a couple from New York. One from Ohio. They come in from everywhere. And for a while, we didn't have very many girls. And Esther and I, every morning, we would pray, Lord, bring us more girls, bring us more. And now we're full. But since we built those apartments in 2008, we opened them up right at the end of 2018. I counted 42 girls that we have brought through those apartments. And recently, I don't know if you shared this yesterday, Esther, but they also work at the store. We have the store right there, right close to it. They can walk right down the hill to the store, work there, make an income. And that's where we walk together throughout the day, working together, sharing and being a testimony to them. And recently, one of those girls came to Esther and said, and I don't know if I can point, this would have been, was it this one, Amelia? Amelia is from Nebraska, and she works at the store, but she came to Esther, and she was crying. She goes, I want to get saved, but I don't know how to be saved. And so Esther calls me up. She goes, can we come up to the MAP office? Amelia's down there crying. She wants to be saved. And they come up there. And I guess she said she had been searching the scriptures for 4 days, trying to find out how to be saved. And you know, you just kind of like, you just stand in awe and you say, man, you know, all the frustrations that you sometimes feel in ministry, something like that, it just takes one of those to fill your tank up, and you just go from being discouraged or frustrated to praising God and saying, wow, today a soul came to Christ. And just a couple days later, like 2 days later, here comes Linda. And Linda, that's the little girl right here. She was not born Amish, but she was adopted by an Amish family in Holmes County, and has left her culture. Here comes Linda. She wants to be saved. And 2 weeks ago today, she got baptized. But that's what this store, they both work there. This is the inside of the store. I encourage you to come and visit the store sometime if you're in the area. It's all nonprofit. If we ever make a profit anyways, it'll go back into the ministry. We're still really trying to get on our feet. It's been a real challenge. This store has been a challenge. The area that we have most impacted people is the fact that these girls get to work there, and we get to rub shoulders with them and and just be testimonies. We've had customers that have gotten saved, customers we never knew, end up there. We're very open about our faith. We send emails out, we post on Facebook. Everybody knows we're Christians. We play Christian music. We pray over our customers when there are needs. And so it's a real ministry. And last year, over 100,000 customers came through that little store. Here's a picture of the outlay of the land. We have the market, the apartments. We're raising funds, kind of not really vocal about it, but apartment 2 there, raising funds. Have right around 20,000 saved up for that apartment. And then the map office, the church building, and that's all church property there. The buildings belong to us, the property belongs to the church. Here's a picture of where Amish live throughout the United States. Dark areas, purple areas are where they live. And they're right now, this is a very recent population figure, 383,000 Amish people living in the US and in Canada, South America, a few places. They double in size every 20 years, and every 3.5 weeks, a brand new Amish community springs up in America. And so they're very populating, moving, and constantly starting up new settlements. And a lot of that is cost because of turmoil, but also seeking new areas. They're very business-minded. Most of them have their own business in some form or another. And so you can only have so many bulk food stores in a community, and so many leather shops, and so many, blacksmith shops. And so you have to move out and start a new community and do the same thing that to keep all their children busy and so forth. Here's some pictures of Amish people we've helped, and believe me, we talk to Amish people every week, sometimes every day. There's Amish people calling and talking and searching. But in this particular case where I got the red circle, this is Ray and Martha. They lost all their children. They got saved, and Ray just started reading the Bible. And he just read and read and read until his eyes were opened up and he understood salvation. And for a long while, he didn't say anything to Martha or the rest of the family. They have like 7 children, I think, or 9 children. And finally, Martha asked him, where are you at when you're nowhere's around? And what's going on in your life? Like you're no longer part of the family, it seems. And so Ray opened up to his wife. And for long, Martha got saved. And then it leaked out in the community. And before long, the church leadership was in there. And at one point, one of his married sons ripped his shirt completely off of his dad and said, we know what happens to people like you who claim to be saved. Before long, you'll get a car and you'll go out into the world. And that's, Ray said that was the last thing on our mind. But they literally got pushed out of the Amish culture. All their children got taken away by the married siblings. And we have a little card out there on our display with all their children's names. And we're praying that God would restore that family relationship. One of the youngest boy, Adam, has left the culture and moved in with a dad and mom. But the other ones, they have not seen for at least 1.5 to 2 years. So Ray and Martha, great couple. Here's some more. We run into a lot of separations where husbands and wives are separating. One will leave the Amish, the other one will stay. And here's a picture of what it looks like inside our office where we do our mailings. This is a mailing day, so we always have the most volunteers in there working, and we have right around 5,000 students right now. who are getting the Sunlight Club Bible lessons, and they go out everywhere, all over the country. And it doesn't matter where we go. If you bring the Sunlight Club up, the Amish know the Sunlight Club, because we have sent well over 1 million of these out. And last year, we had 245 salvation responses. We sent out 96,000 of these lessons, and the cost to do that was $84,000. So it seems like a large number, but postage and printing and all of that is figured into there. And I encourage people to sponsor 10 students or.
Explain that that's for the kids, Joe, that the adults kind of let them know that, because I don't know if they know.
Yeah, thank you. So this is more focused on the kids from 5-year-old up through, we have the Love, Dating, and Marriage course series. And each course has about 10 lessons. Some of them have a little more, some a little bit less, but they're very evangelistic. Every lesson that goes out that door is evangelistic. And they get to hear the gospel over and over and over. Almost all the girls that ever come to New Beginnings, if you ask them, did you get the Sunlight Club? Yes, I got the Sunlight Club. Oh yeah, my sister and I did that. We signed our neighbors up, and everybody in the community got them. And I'm always surprised. Now, there are some Amish communities where we get no response from. But the majority of Amish communities, for some odd reason or other, I guess you just got to say it's a God thing. But yeah, some of these I run into Amish ministers who were in the Sunlight Club and are now preaching in Amish churches. So we've been doing that for almost 24 years. The Amish Voice is a publication that goes out to, this year we added 2,000 to our list. Our goal is 82,000. That's how many addresses we have. And as we get more people to sponsor families, we will add them to the active list. Right now we're sending out 13,000 every other month. We have not missed one issue since 2007. And there again, a person can sponsor 100 households and become responsible to pay for the postage and the printing of the Amish Voice. It's a 16-page black and white publication. Right now we're going, our main article is The Secret of Their Strength, or The Secret of the Strengths. It was written, somebody wrote it about the Anabaptists. What was it about the Anabaptists that caused about 5,000 of them to plunge to their death back in the 1500s, 1600s? And what was the secret? And today, the Amish and the Mennonites are focused on their Anabaptist, kind of their Anabaptist history, and they get so caught up in that. And I get so frustrated with that. I'm like, get your eyes off of your forefathers. Put your eyes on Jesus, because that was the secret of their strengths. Those Anabaptists there was no other reason but to believe that those Anabaptists were able to plunge to their death by being martyred in various ways, drowned and burned and cut up and hung from the ceilings and burned in oil and drug around the square and all the different ways that they died for their faith. Those people had their eyes on Jesus Christ. I told the same thing about this young, or these men that were in our office a couple of weeks ago. I said, they were saying, what separates us is we're still the Anabaptists. And we have I heard this message, the 5 points of Anabaptism. I'm like, man, get rid of that. Those are distractions. Put your faith in Jesus Christ. Focus on Jesus. He is the one that died for us. Our Anabaptists did not. Anyways, that's the main article that we're featuring and have been for almost over probably a year and a half as well. And we're just going through the book and chapter by chapter, putting it out there. We make the book available for free to anybody that wants it. And sermons by phone. We continue every month. We upload 4 new sermons. Been doing that for almost 10 years to the phone lines. And then we have a lot of Amish people that call in. And I had a call this week. I think it was on Friday or last week. And this guy, he's like, hey, I just got your Amish voice. He starts talking about it. He goes, I don't know how I got on the list. How did I get on the list? I said, well, either somebody turned your name in or we found your name in a directory. Or he goes, well, and I was waiting for him to say, take me off the list. But instead he said, on Ascension Day, we had a fast day. And so he said, I picked that thing up and I read through it. And all these sermons are advertised in the publication. So right now we are really focused on end times because Amish people don't understand end times. They're very basic in what they believe. And so any sermon we upload is centered around end times. Well, I had just a wonderful conversation with this guy. And he was telling me, he said, yeah, he believes he's saved. He believes so. But the more we talked, I'm like, yeah, you're just another one of those Amish people that compares himself with other communities. And you say you don't have as many rules as they do over there. And that makes you feel closer to the Lord. But really, you've never had a transformation happen in your life. And it was obvious because of his language and everything. I mean, he was cussing and using words that were very inappropriate. And he talked about having a shotgun wedding and all this, and but claiming to be born again. And these are the conversations we have with Amish people. Very dirty-minded, some of them, and just very religious and caught up in incest. Honestly, there's so many men going to prison today, you would not believe. I can't hardly get over it, that all these men, but it's almost like, again, there's just a lot more, I guess, bigger population, and men are going to prison all the time because of incest, and alcohol is a real issue. Drugs is an issue in some cases. And so just a real need to get the truth out there. Ministry among the former Amish. A couple years ago, this has been quite a few years ago, my wife and I were talking, and we always focused on the singles and had taken in over 200 of them into our own home over the years. But these singles were getting married, and we were starting to really get a burden for the young married. And so we, being ordained, I was able to do weddings, and we started doing premarital counseling, spending about 15 to 20 hours with each couple. And we've been doing that for about the last 10 years now. And we are always doing premarital counseling with somebody. We just finished one that's going to get married on the 18th of this month. We'll be back out here in New York, but we did all the premarital counseling for them. We are just this weekend, a young man who I spent 3 years discipling called me. He just got engaged. He goes, now, Joe, we want you and Esther to do our premarital counseling. When can we meet? And we just love it. We've led some of these to the Lord. This one right here, this young couple, on our first meeting, we led both of them to the Lord. And Saloma made a video about her testimony. It's such a powerful video of coming to Christ. But we love to do that. Baptisms, continue to do quite a few baptisms. Last year I was in some families left up here in Panama, New York, went there and baptized 5 of those during that weekend of just speaking and encouraging them and preaching. We have 3 of them that want to get baptized right now. And this is our Bible study group. Now, I know this seems like a lot, And I will tell you, we are unbelievably busy. We got lots going on, but we also have a lot of people that help us. But about 15 months ago, I sent my first text out to a young couple. I said, would you guys consider coming to a Bible study and giving me 1 year of your life? And they came back with yes. I don't even know if they were married at that time. Maybe they were. Actually, we've done several weddings. Several of these have gotten married just in our 15 months of Bible study. But we're down to our very last lesson. We've hung together for 15 months. We've grown together. There's about 13 to 15 of us. And to do something really special, we decided we're going to go on a missions trip. So our whole group, you can see that, we just met, was it like a week ago? And this is in our living room. That whole group is going to Germany in October. None of us have been out of the country, but we are going to go there. It was really interesting. Just this last week too, I get this message, hey, I read your book and I live in Germany. I said, what part of Germany? We're coming over there. And so we're communicating and we're connecting, and Miranda, who served 2 internships with us, is from the Netherlands. So we're going to get to see her, and then we're going to so there's only 2% of the population in Germany that claim to be Christians. 2%. You have to have permits. And I'm just learning all this stuff, but you have to have permits to pass out gospel tracts. But they all know that the Amish, they know about the Anabaptists, the Amish, and the Mennonites. And so our goal is, we have a couple Amish ladies in here that still dress Amish, have the head coverings. They're going to wear their garb. And we talked the other night about maybe all of us should wear Amish clothes and use it as a tool to go back there and say, hey, we're here to tell you about the Anabaptists in America. And in that, share our testimonies. And so we're already getting set up to stay in homes over there, and we're all excited about it. We're doing pizza fundraisers, which allows us to do things together as a group. And we love this group. They are so precious. We've been going through all the doctrines of the faith. And my whole goal from the very beginning was, when we get done with this, you're going to take this same book, ABCs for Christian Growth, and you're going to go and find somebody to disciple. That's what we're supposed to do. This is not a church. I'm discipling them so that you can go disciple others, and those can disciple more people, and that's the goal from day one. Other ministries, and we're getting down to 5 minutes here, but mentioned that we do these Amish awareness conferences on June 1 and 2. I will be in Titusville, Pennsylvania, doing a weekend event. It's going to be a Saturday and Sunday. We're also doing one in Panama, New York again. And both of these are groups where large numbers of Amish families got saved. It came out. And in Titusville, the pastor is from the Amish himself. So I'm really looking forward to that. We have that book that we go through back on our display. And you're welcome to pick it up, but it's got 8 sessions: Anabaptist movement, the Amish culture, the Amish beliefs 1 and 2, what legalism does, and evangelism 1 and 2, and those are the ones that we cover. So Samuel helps me out with that. In March of this year, we had our 4th Step Out of the Boat conference. You can go on YouTube. We put all of the videos up there, but each 20 people have, up until this year, they only had 20 minutes. We lengthened that to 30 minutes. But it's a Wednesday through Saturday conference that happens at my home church. And we had people come in from everywhere. Go to YouTube, type in Step Out of the Boat Conference, and listen to some of the testimonies that are out there. It's unbelievable what some of these people have forsook their families and everything to follow Christ. These are the testimonies. We've done it 4 years in a row. They're all out there. We actually had this year, we had a couple that left the Amish, and the mom was saved, was Amish, the man was not. But now that they're saved, they have a burden to go back into Seymour, Missouri, and become missionaries to the same community that Annie was saved out of. And they shared their testimony. So good, so good. You want to be encouraged, go to YouTube, step out of the boat conference. We're already planning the one for 2025. And GED classes that we do there at the office. There you see a bunch of Bucky Mennonite ladies. Those are all teachers. And we have about 30 of them that have come there. And our goal is to share the gospel with them. They're so close, and yet most of them do not know the true gospel. Keep going here. The Gospel of John is now in its 6th printing, and we have those on the back there. We pass them out by like gospel tracts. What do the Amish believe? This better title would be, what did the forefathers believe? It's not really what the Amish believe today, but nonetheless, we do pass those out to Amish people. Esther's Cookbook. 30 of our favorite testimonies in that little booklet. That's on the display back there. My book, somebody recently translated, I don't even know who it was, into Spanish, and sent it to my publisher and said, hey, here's Joe's book in Spanish. And so we're going through it, making sure it actually says what it's supposed to say. But I was like, just another God thing. I thought, wow, amazing how God uses that book. And here's the different ministries we have. And then in ending, thank you. You truly are a big part of this. I cannot put in words how much it means to me. We have about 80 churches that supports the ministry, and then some businesses and individuals. But there's something even more important to me than the gifts that you give. And I mean this with my whole heart. And that is a relationship that we have. It always blows me away that God put somebody right here in this area, Markleton, Pennsylvania, to come alongside this ministry and win the Amish culture to Christ. And for that, I'm so grateful, so thankful. Stay faithful. You stay faithful, we'll stay faithful all the way to the end. And our goal is to go into all the world and preach the gospel. That's our mandate. And disciple the ones that get saved, right? Baptize and disciple them. That's our mandate. We want to win if we want to win the world, that's our mandate. That's how the world is won, is to go and preach the gospel and disciple and baptize them. So thank you, Pastor.
Thank you, Brother Joe. Anybody have any quick questions? We're getting here. We gotta get to anybody have any questions for Joe or anything about the presentation? They'll be around. They'll be back at the table. So if you do think of anything, feel free to ask. And then of course we'll be giving them a love offering, but there'll be a basket in the back too if you want to put anything in that for their ministry and things like that. So, all right. Well, I appreciate that very much. We'll have a few minutes here before the service starts that you can take care of whatever you need to, and we look forward to what God's laid on his heart for the morning service. So, thank you very much, brother. I appreciate that.